All right, welcome back. Welcome back. So let's talk about Cardi B. Why leave a cheater for another cheater? We've been talking about that for a few days or so, right? So I want us to talk about Cardi B a little bit. Why are we talking about Cardi? Cardi B is a rapper. She's a rapper in America here. She started off as a reality TV show. Again, we don't just gossip here. We're looking for the relationship lessons here. Okay, so we're not just gonna just gossip about this situation. Actually, we don't gossip at all. We review the trendy topic and then we extract the relationship lessons. So in this case right now, the easy route to go, again, the easy route to say, do you let people live? But they're celebrities. They are our influencers. These are your children's influencers or your nieces or nephews influencers. And so some things we have to continue to call out or at least shed some light on angles you might not be looking at. There are two extreme angles you might be looking at here: live or let live. Or you might be extremely judgmental of Cardi B and say, single mother getting pregnant before divorcing. I want us to kind of like leave those two extremes and come somewhere in between. Okay, so with that being said, there's an audio that I want us to review that was dropped onto my feed today, and I found the audio interesting. I said, we've been talking about this. Might be the third time we're talking about this. What happened is that she got pregnant, and she's still married to the ex-husband. Although the allegations is that one wants money, he wants his taxes paid off, and she's not letting go. But in the meanwhile, she said, I'm going to keep knocking. And I think in the middle of keep knocking, she got pregnant for Stefan. I forgot his name, Stefan, right? Now, it's also been alleged that Stefan has had multiple baby mothers within the last 1 year. Allegations, okay? So of course now she's gonna get defensive. If you've seen Cardi B in this social media street, she will get defensive, she will get angry, she will try to patch it up like nothing is happening. But the reality is that we're all emotional beings. All of these mishaps will affect you, and especially when a child is coming into the picture. There's gonna be consequences. So with choices comes consequences. Yes, we have choices. You can do you can do how you like, you can do your life anyhow you like, but it comes to consequences. No, we should allow you to have your own opinion, but we can also have opinion about your opinions. You see how that works? Yeah, exactly. So let's listen to this and then we'll continue.
From a cheater to go to somebody else, because I was tired of that relationship. It's more than just cheating. That's the thing that y'all don't understand. Y'all don't know half of the shit. Y'all don't know most of the shit. It's more than just cheating. It was a lot. I couldn't take it no more. I had to go to a hospital because I couldn't take it no more. A hospital. You have managers when you have a management and you have a label. When your management and your label is getting together because they are concerned, it's time to go. When it's affecting your work, when you can't even record, it's time to go. And I left. God damn. I don't know. I just feel like I've been so happy for this pregnancy, and I've been so motivated. I've been pregnant and I've been motivated and I've been getting the work because every single day. Why are you separated from a cheater to go to somebody else?
Why are you separated from a cheater to go to someone else? I guess to another cheater, right?
Because I was tired of that relationship. It's more than just cheating.
All right, that point right there, that is more than just cheating. I've always told you guys here, again, some of the easy route to go when we're assessing the situation is gender war route or cheating, right? If we're not talking about cheating, we're talking about how men benefit from relationship more than women or vice versa. Those are the kind of conversations that are more engaging on the internet. However, the reality is that the issues are deeper than that. The issues are much more complicated than that. What did she say? She said, because it's more than just cheating. And in fact, I put it to you that most women don't leave just because of cheating. Okay? They might leave because of perpetual cheating, perpetual infidelity. They might leave because of repeated behavior. But just because somebody cheated, most people don't leave because of that. Most people, they will beat their chest and say, that's my deal breaker. But most of them are lying. Okay? And I say most because I'm actually trying to be nice. I actually think all, right? Because the last thing in your mind is to try to check your box and say, hey, I said if you cheat, I will just leave. That's the last thing on your mind. Usually the first thing on your mind is like betrayal, shock, right? You don't know what's going on. You're basically shattered. You're destroyed, right? Sometimes it's better to just leave than to stay, because a lot of people that stay also, they're just going to stay to show the betrayer shege. But what did she say? She said not just cheating. She should have left the first or second time max. That's what Bumi is saying. That man, Mario says, that man could have been impacting our finances. There's a lot more going on, right? I'm also guessing that they were probably beating themselves up. It was probably a situation where they might be pulling out weapons on themselves. These people are crazy. It was probably just that toxic. Or maybe nothing physical at all. It could be just that much toxic at an emotional level too, where people are just living as roommates and they can't stand each other, but then kids are watching them in this extreme toxic behavior. Okay, but really what I wanted to extract out of this is that, I've always told you guys that when it feels right, people will do all the wrong things. But how do we measure wrong? Moral standards vary from places to places, from dimensions to dimensions, from race to race. It varies from gender to gender. It varies from religion to religion, from generations to generation. Moral standards vary, right? So what is exactly wrong? I'll tell you what's going to be wrong for someone to sit in a situation that feels wrong. If it feels wrong, they are going to align that with the rest of their reality, meaning they might do something that you consider to be wrong, right? So what is considered to be wrong by the general society? You're not supposed to get pregnant if you're still married. Shout out to the Gen Z. Gen Z are a little bit more lenient on that. They're like, no, she deserves, yeah. But the reality is that most people are still like, yeah, you're still married. That's crazy, right? But hey, this is an example of what it looks like. It's not just cheating. It's not just the fact that he cheated. That is not enough for her to leave that guy. I think the worst, if it was just cheating, I think the worst thing that Cardi B would have done is probably cheat back on him. I think it was much more than that. I think it was just an extremely toxic situation. Here's the other thing. I don't think it started as extremely toxic from the very end. I think it started as toxic before they got married. But they probably trauma bonded on that toxic behavior. But then at some point, some people get tired. They want to move on from the toxicity. And then at that point, usually one person is just comfortable in that toxicity. My point here is that it's a lot more complex. Any of these relationship issues is a lot more complicated. It's as simple as yourself, taking care of yourself, which is extremely difficult for most people to do, right? But it's a lot more complex than right and wrong. How could you get pregnant? You are addressing the wrong issue. Of course she can get pregnant if she's knocking. Most people that say, how could you get pregnant out of wedlock? They were also knocking. I said knocking. They were knocking before they left a relationship. It's just that they probably didn't get pregnant too. So of course, she's going to get judged. But hey, it is fair. It's the society we find ourselves, right? Mara said, but how do you ensure the next person isn't a cheater? It's not a cheater in the first. It's not about cheating in the first place. There's only so much time available, energy available to cheat. If people are comfortable, if they are getting value in their relationship, they won't cheat. Now think of value very deeply. Don't think of value as, oh, I was giving value, but they still cheated. No, you're still reading value from your own standpoint. I'm talking about value in the eyes of the other person that cheated. And the fact that they're not getting value is not necessarily your fault. But the point is, there's something else that was missing. There was a void, right? So if people are actually building healthy relationships, if they're actually in a healthy situation, there's only so much time available. They want to spend that time with you rather than cheating, right? So we don't worry about cheating. Cheating is the symptom. It's the symptom of other things going on underneath. It's not necessarily your fault. There are other things you need to be worrying about. You should worry about. So the theme that you're probably going to pay attention to today is that worry about the underlying relationship. Oftentimes, some people will be worried about the marriage and they will leave the relationship aside. And then they are surprised that the marriage is scattered because you basically disconnected from the underlying relationship. You don't care about how the other person sees the relationship. You just like, oh, it's a marriage, you must do the right thing. Okay. But eventually, the reality kicks in. All right. So that's what I wanted to cover really quickly on that one today. It's not about cheating. Cheating is bare minimum of what you're not supposed to do. You're not supposed to cheat, steal, and lie. Okay? But I bet you most people already know that. But somehow they do that. So there's more to the conversation. If you want to find out more, all the informations are in the description box. Hit the like button, share, subscribe, turn up your notifications so you're notified when we go live. I'll be right back.
Girl, it's your love that I've been missing. I miss all your hugs, your touching and kissing. Me love on the floor, the couch in the kitchen. One love enough, we done enough.